Gauff slams Trump-era policies. I don't think people should be dying in the streets. Coco Gauff is one of the tennis figures who is not afraid to speak openly about political events in the world, firmly sticking to her views. The younger tennis player has openly said several times so far that she opposes Donald Trump's policy, and it seems that she is most outraged by his policy towards minorities in America. Before the start of the Dubai Tennis Championships, the young tennis player received interesting questions from a reporter. Namely, the reporters were interested in how Gauff deals with the latest news concerning Greenland, the killing of people and many similar things, and whether she follows such news and manages to distance herself from it. Coco Gauff pointed out that she follows the news through social media and that she only noticed it a few days later during the tournament in Australia. Yeah, I think for me as a Gen Z person, I get a lot of my news from social media. I don't really watch the news. Actually here, because it's one of the only English channels, I have been playing CNN while getting treatment that I think while in Australia with all the stuff was going on in the US, I didn't see it till days afterwards. I know some people were saying some things were being censored. I don't know how true it is nor not. For me, I'm someone that likes to stay informed. Once I see something happen, I like to do the research on it. Yeah, everything going on in the US, obviously I'm not really for it. I don't think people should be dying in the streets just for existing. I don't like what's going on. I think for me, it is tough to wake up and see something because I do care a lot about our country. I think people think I don't for some reason, but I do. I'm very proud to be American, she said. Gauff shares her views. Coco Gauff emphasized once again that she opposes the trend of the politics of America's leading people, and she is somewhat surprised by the latest developments. On the other hand, Coco notes that the policy of the leaders of a nation does not necessarily mean that the same policy is supported by all the citizens of that country. The young tennis player hopes that the future will bring positivity not only for America, but also for the whole world, and that the situation will eventually calm down. But I think when you're from any country, you don't have to represent the entire values of what's going on in the leadership. I think there's a lot of people around that believe in the things I believe in diversity and equality, hoping as the future progresses that we can get back to those values, similar to what Madison said at the Australian Open. She concluded, "I don't think people should be dying in the streets." Coco Gauff's call for conscience. When Coco Gauff stepped to the press podium at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships in February 2026, it wasn't a tennis racket she lifted first, it was her voice. What followed wasn't a breakdown of her game plan or tactics for her next match, but a clear, unwavering statement about what she sees as a profound moral failing in modern America. "I don't think people should be dying in the streets just for existing." In a world where athletes are often urged to focus only on sport, Gauff's refusal to separate her identity from the realities of the society she comes from reflects a deeper shift, one that places conscience firmly at the center of public life. To understand why this matters, we have to look at the intersection of sports, politics, and human dignity, and why one of tennis's brightest stars refuses to stay silent. The moment that echoed beyond the court. Sports often provide a welcome escape from the world's chaos, an arena where skill, beauty, and competition take center stage. But sometimes, the arena intersects with reality in a jarring, unavoidable way. When Gauff was asked about the situation back home, particularly high-profile incidents where federal agents fatally shot civilians in Minneapolis, she answered honestly, without hesitation. Rather than offering the traditional, "I'm here to play tennis, not talk politics," she said exactly what was on her mind, that the loss of human life, especially lives erased simply for being, is unacceptable. Her words are simple, yet profound. If people are literally dying in the streets just for being, something is deeply wrong. To put it in plain terms, she isn't just talking about bad policy. She's talking about a moral crisis. When silence isn't neutral, one of the most repeated refrains in public discourse is that athletes shouldn't speak on politics. Critics argue that sports figures are entertainers, not policymakers, and that they should stay in their lane. But silence, in the face of human suffering, is not neutral. Gauff pushed back hard against the idea that athletes should remain silent. She explained that when reporters ask her questions about real events unfolding in her home country, she doesn't feel torn. Instead, she believes being honest is part of her responsibility, especially when people are genuinely seeking her viewpoint. Her stance challenges a long-standing notion that public figures, especially athletes, should self-censor to avoid controversy. What Gauff's comments suggest is that there's no such thing as stay out of politics when what's happening affects human lives. When people are suffering, ignoring it doesn't make the problem go away. It shifts the burden to those whose voices are often already unheard. More than a tennis player, a citizen with a conscience. Gauff's political awareness isn't new, it's been part of her public identity for years. At age 16, she participated in a Black Lives Matter rally, and she has frequently spoken about social issues, from racial injustice to global human rights concerns. What's unique is not just her opinions, but her willingness to express them forthrightly. Part of that courage comes from her roots. Her grandmother, Yvonne Lee Odom, played a role in desegregating schools in Florida, a piece of history that clearly shaped Gauff's own sense of justice. For Gauff, the world doesn't stop when she steps onto the court. A tennis tournament doesn't suspend her concern for fellow human beings. She competes on the court and cares about the world off it. And in her view, one doesn't have to conflict with the other. That a reflection of a generation. Gauff represents a generation that is growing up in an era of unprecedented access to information, global connectivity, and social movements. Gen Z, in particular, is often described as more politically aware, more civically engaged, and more willing to hold leaders and systems accountable for injustices. When Gauff speaks, she's speaking for a broader cohort that believes empathy isn't optional and that privilege comes with responsibility. To many, her comments aren't radical. They're simply reflections of basic human compassion, seen through an athlete's lens. This has sparked a wide range of reactions. On online forums, for instance, some fans have praised her for speaking out and refusing to remain silent, even when others avoid tough topics. Many have expressed surprise that such a sentiment, that human life should be valued, is even controversial in certain circles. The reactions,